Yes, okay, upload schedule, remember that? Can I do a video under my weighted blanket? Probably not. Things have been occurring. Unexpectedly, I've been watching a lot of ballet and doing a little bit of roleplay, or possibly LARPing. It's hard to say. Is it still LARP if it's on Discord? Is it still LARP if I dress up? Probably not. Oh, and I'm gonna have to edit out every time I yawn, which is a lot right now. What have I been doing? First thing, finally finished this bloody thing. This was my underrobe for the Fragile. It's a 12 gore gown, which is loosely inspired by the medieval Greenland finds, which means that I had 5 seams on each side to flat fell. Funny story, this originally had sleeves. Basically, I was working on this for the first time round, making it from scratch, and I thought I knew how this style of gown was supposed to work because I'd read a blog post like 5 years ago. I was doing what that blog post had theorised, which is that you cut straight gauze and then you fit the gown to the body along those seams. So that's what I did with this. This is, as you can probably tell, quite close fitting. But then Morgan Donner's amazing videos about her Greenland 12 gore gown came out, and it turns out that's not what you do. But anyway, I cut the sleeves as straight rectangles with an underarm gore, intending them to be just T-tunic style construction, and I deliberately made them like knuckle length. So when they were all sewn in and hemmed, they'd come to like here. And then I watched the video, and turns out the original gown has a shaped sleeve head. And so I was like, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. I should recut these sleeves that I've already cut out to have a shaped sleeve head. And so I measured my arm from wrist to underarm and wrist to point of shoulder. No, I didn't do point of shoulder because that would have fixed my mistake. I measured my arm from wrist to underarm, measured up from the bottom, added on a little bit for seam allowance, and drew in the S-curve for the top of the sleeve from there. Can you spot the problem yet? I ended up with a really, really high sleeve head and not enough length. So the sleeves came to like here, and I had a huge amount of like extra fabric up at the shoulder. It was a disaster. I still wore it, but when I got home, I almost immediately took the sleeves off, and then I looked at them and I looked to see if I could recut them and get some of the length back, but if I'd done a modern style sleeve with the arch in the centre, I think I could have brought the sides in a bit because it was also quite loose around the bicep, got more length, made the sleeve head shorter, but I hadn't done that. I'd done a medieval style shaped sleeve head where the seam is at the back of the arm and it's an S-curve. So I could not do this thing, and I didn't have any more leftover fabric. So I just went, sod it. Other thing, less fabric. I have been messing around with foam. So these are not terribly impressive yet. This was mostly an experiment to see if I could do gluing and shaping and taking a pattern from, you know, wrapping yourself in cling film and duct tape. Turns out I'm quite bad at that, and there is a correct way to do it. But we're getting better. I'm also quite bad at gluing. Again, getting better. I'm more impressed with this guy. Might just have to mute this bit. This I'm pretty happy with. There was a lot of heat shaping involved. There was also a pattern on myself with duct tape, which I have importantly learned, if you're going to duct tape your own torso, get help. can't do it yourself. The main thing this is waiting on is that I immediately broke my rotary tool trying to sand down the angles on this. So this was actually completed without one, but I really need it to neaten up these edges because they are terrible. So that's on order. Once I have that, this should get a little bit of, you know, TLC. These were actually for a game that got postponed because of current circumstances. I'm still really glad that I went ahead and made them anyway. I had to make 3 braces because the first set pair that I made 2 right-hand ones, which is not what I wanted. So, you know, that's in process, and I've got a quite large foam project coming up for later in the year, so getting my practice in. The other thing I've been doing is these guys. So I have a lot of scrap fabric at the moment. I started hanging on to my scraps in order to make the coat for the Fragile last September. And then I didn't stop hanging on to my scraps, which is something that I morally feel is wrong. However, I have been a bad example of my own philosophy, and so I have a bin bag full of fabric scraps now. It's kind of started because I did the 2-week rush to get ready for the Regenesis finale, and then I kept all of that because I was going to make some kind of mental patchwork memory of this character. Wow, I must look like I'm just wearing tights and a giant jumper. I promise you there's shorts going on. Welcome back. This is the surcoat that I made. I'm pretty happy with it. It was obviously quite simple. I didn't take a lot of care about it. It's just a nice kind of basic LARP wardrobe staple that I think is going to see me in good stead for... I have at least one game that I'm pretty sure will happen this year, for which I think I'll wear this because, you know, blue is on brand. The word surcoat is one of those terms that doesn't clearly indicate a particular garment. Historically, there are lots of different surcoats throughout the medieval period. They do a bunch of different things. Some things that I would describe as a surcoat actually have more historically accurate terms for the period that they're in. In summary, when I say surcoat, what I normally mean is some kind of vaguely sleeveless garment designed to be worn over the top of other things. For this one, I just used a pattern that I've used before and I know that I like. It goes together quite quickly. So this pattern has a number of pieces. Those are actually, in order to give you a floor length dress, they have extra extension bits that you're supposed to tape on. I've never taped them on because occasionally I just make the dress with the regular pieces without the extension. So it's sort of ankle length on me instead of sweeps the floor. I have also done the sweeps the floor. That's very fun, but not what I was going for with this. It also has lots of gauze, which gives you a really, really huge skirt if you really want it. I probably had enough of the outer fabric, which is an old pair of curtains, that I could have done gauze, but I sort of want to try and get a third garment out of those curtains, so I decided to skip the gauze. It's full enough without them, and I think with them it would have been too gown-like and not unisex enough. It's got a little bit of bust shaping, but not a huge amount. It's plausible. Then it's lined with some leftover linen. Construction was really straightforward. I sewed all the outers together. I sewed all the inners together. I ironed everything a lot. I put a collar in after having tried it on and determined that actually I didn't want to make it collarless. I thought the collar would help. Then I lined up both assembled outer and lining, right side to right side, sewed all the way around the front and the neckline, flipped that inside out. Then I sewed the sleeveless armholes on the machine. And I tried to film this, but it's basically impossible because it becomes a sort of horrific non-Euclidean mess. Basically, as long as the hem of the garment is still open, so along here, you can reach up inside the surcoat and then pull the sleeve holes down. And you have to sew them one half and then go in from the other side and sew the other half so you don't turn it into a twisted tube that you can then never wear. I've explained that really, really badly. I will try and link in the description a tutorial that explains this much better, because it's actually quite easy. It's just really hard to film or explain. And then because I'm a masochist, I whip stitched the hem down by hand. Just turned it under, pinned it, tried it on to make sure it was hanging right, fixed it a little bit when it wasn't, sewed it down by hand, gave everything another iron because linen, et voila, I have a surcoat. A lot of times people ask me, or, you know, the internet in general, what can I do to make this costume more interesting? It feels like it doesn't have enough going on. And in those situations, I basically only ever have 3 bits of advice. And advice number 1 is surcoat. Advice number 2 is wear a scarf, and advice number 3 is have you considered adding a different colour? That's pretty much it. If you're looking at your costume and going, this feels a bit dull, contrast colour, scarf, surcoat. I think these are really versatile garments. You know, you can wear them for all sorts of fantasy characters. Do you want to be a warrior? Warriors wear surcoats. Do you want to be a swashbuckler? Surcoat. Do you want to be an asshole wizard? Surcoat. Princess? Surcoat. Some kind of researchery nerd? Surcoat. There are a lot of options which are not really well documented from what I can pull together in about 20 minutes in my kit room. So anyway, that's just a small update from my confinement. Like everybody else, I've pretty much entirely lost track of time. I thought this was going to be coming out about a fortnight after my first video. I even started filming it like a week ago, going, yeah, it's been, what, a week? 10 days? It's now been almost a month since my last video, and I have no idea what happened in that time. No idea whatsoever. I only have a very tenuous grasp of what day it is. Oh no, it's Wednesday. It must be Wednesday, because the food delivery arrived today. My life is so strange right now. All things considered, Stuff isn't going that badly. The next thing on my list is to do the quilting on the fragile coat so that I can finally finish those videos. And then after that, I might start working on my dwarf kit. Or I might be really bad and just like make something random because I can. I shouldn't, but I might. Oh, and I'm crocheting my cat couch because I make bad choices. I hope everyone's doing okay in this strange time. Hang in there. We're going to get through it. Anything I achieve in the next couple of months is honestly a bonus. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. This is going to be the weirdest video because I swear my hair colour has changed in every single shot. Oh, better make sure that none of my tabletop player can see secret stuff on the computer. Christ, I'm tired.